In his essay, Why Should a Dialectician Learn to Count to Four? Zizek challenges the common belief that Hegelian dialectics works only through a simple three-part structure: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Dialectics actually involves a hidden fourth moment, a negative or disruptive element that disappears once a new order is established. This fourth moment is extremely important because it drives historical and social change. Zizek begins by explaining the traditional dialectical process. Normally, we think of dialectics as a movement from one idea to its opposite and then to reconciliation. But Zizek says this explanation is incomplete. According to Hegel, dialectics contains not just three but four moments. The hidden fourth moment is pure negativity, a disruptive force that does not fit neatly into the final synthesis. It is a moment of instability and contradiction that makes transformation possible. To explain this, Zizek discusses how things often contain their own opposite within themselves. A system is not destroyed only by an outside enemy. Instead, its internal contradictions produce its collapse. For example, fascism is not simply the opposite of liberal democracy, it grows from the tensions already inside liberal democracy. Similarly, capitalism changes itself from within in order to survive. This idea is what Hegel calls inner negativity. Zizek gives an example from music using Adorno. A musical sound such as the tritone originally had one meaning, but after the development of modern dissonant music, the same sound gained a new meaning. Even though the note itself remained the same, history changed how listeners understood it. Zizek uses this to show that meaning is shaped by historical context. Old traditions cannot simply return unchanged because history transforms them. The essay then moves from abstract philosophy to concrete historical examples. One of the important concepts Zizek explains is the vanishing mediator. A vanishing mediator is a temporary force or movement that helps create a new social order but disappears once that order is established. His major example is Protestantism. Zizek discusses the idea of Max Weber and Frederick Jameson. Weber argued that Protestantism helped create capitalism through the Protestant work ethic. Protestants believed that disciplined work, modest living, and accumulation of wealth showed God's grace. According to Zizek, Protestantism universalized religious discipline into everyday life. Ironically, this religious intensity eventually weakened religion itself and prepared the way for modern capitalist society where religion became private and secondary. Protestantism therefore acted as a vanishing mediator between medieval feudal society and modern capitalism. Without Protestantism, the transition could not have happened. Yet, once capitalism was established, Protestantism lost its central role. The new capitalist society kept the Protestant values of discipline and hard work but abandoned their religious meaning. Zizek says the same pattern appears in politics through Jacobinism during the French Revolution. The Jacobins attempted to apply democratic equality to all aspects of life. Their radicalism and political violence eventually produced modern bourgeois democracy. Just as Protestantism disappeared after helping create capitalism, Jacobinism disappeared after helping create modern democratic society. Zizek emphasizes an important paradox here. People today often see Protestantism and Jacobinism as extreme or failed movements, but modern capitalist democracy could not have emerged without them. They were necessary transitional stages. This is why he calls them vanishing mediators. Revolutionary movements often fail to recognize that their ideals are already realized in distorted form within ordinary society. For example, the ideals of liberty and equality are present in capitalist democracy, but only in limited and imperfect ways, such as legal equality and free trade. Revolutionaries often reject the society that actually expresses their ideals in transformed form. Zizek then expands the idea of vanishing mediators to other historical movements such as absolute monarchy, fascism, and Soviet communism. Absolute monarchy weakened feudalism and helped capitalism rise. Fascism was capitalism's attempt to save itself during crisis. Soviet socialism tried to reorganize all social life under political control. These systems acted as temporary mediators in historical change. The essay then turns toward the role of the subject and political action. Zizek argues against the idea that history follows fixed laws that humans simply obey. Instead, history includes moments of uncertainty where people must make risky decisions without guarantees. Using the example of the October Revolution, Zizek explains that revolutionary actors did not know the future in advance. Later historians can describe the revolution as historically necessary, but during the actual events, everything was uncertain. Revolutionary subjects had to act without certainty. Only afterward does history appear logical and necessary. For Zizek, this uncertain moment of decision is what creates the subject. A subject is not simply an individual person, it is the force that acts decisively in a moment when the future is unclear. After the act succeeds, history rewrites events as if the outcome had always been inevitable. Thus, the subject disappears from view. This is another meaning of the vanishing mediator. Zizek also explains the idea of retroactive meaning. An action becomes meaningful only after it succeeds. For example, revolutionaries choose a political strategy first, and only afterward do people explain why it was historically correct. The act itself creates the conditions that justify it. He connects this idea with psychoanalysis and theories of Lacan. Truth does not emerge gradually through calm, rational understanding. Truth often appears suddenly through shocking or traumatic encounters. A random event, a memory, or a remark may suddenly reveal hidden truths about ourselves. Truth, therefore, belongs to contingency and disruption, not stable order. Zizek contrasts contingency with possibility. Possibility belongs to established systems because it fits accepted rules. Contingency introduces something unexpected that changes the system itself. Real historical events are contingent because they break existing expectations. Toward the end, Zizek discusses politics. He distinguishes between ordinary politics and the political. Ordinary politics refers to institutions like governments and laws. The political refers to deeper moments of crisis when the entire structure of society is questioned and reorganized. Revolutionary moments such as the French Revolution reveal this deeper political dimension. Zizek returns to his main argument about counting to four. The dialectical process includes a hidden fourth element, the disruptive subject or negativity that creates transformation and then disappears once a new order stabilizes. Traditional explanations of dialectics overlook this moment because they focus only on the final result. But without this unstable and contingent force, no social or historical change would occur. The essay presents dialectics not as a smooth logical process but as a dramatic movement shaped by contradiction, crisis, risk, and political action. History changes because temporary disruptive forces emerge, transform society, and then vanish, leaving behind a new social order that hides its violent origins.